Welcome to Fort Worth Crosstalk. It is good to be
We are
back.
recording, right?
We're recording. We're live.
Yeah.
We're here with Rob. Again, we're going to discuss part 2 of the logical issues associated with atheism. But before we do, please follow me at FTW_crosstalk. That's on X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it today. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Atheism isn't just stupid, it's completely illogical. You can't even have laws of logic in atheism because that would require uniformity in nature and it would require an ultimate lawgiver. Neither of those things are possible. You can't have uniformity in nature if you believe that we're on a purposeless spinning ball that is here for no rhyme or reason for no greater purpose. And everything is randomly evolving and randomly mutating by mistake. You can't have uniformity in nature if that's your worldview. Laws also come from lawgivers. So you can't have any ultimate laws because there's no ultimate lawgiver. There's just personal preference. So there can't be logic in an atheist worldview. You can't have laws of logic. It could be Tuesday and not Tuesday in the same time at the same spot. And that would be perfectly logical or what have you. There'd be no rhyme or reason. There'd be no logic. There would just be preference in an atheist worldview. I'm going to turn this over to Rob. He's got a lot to say about this. He's quite good on this. So, Rob, introduce yourself. Where can they find you? And let's get into the logical shortcomings in an atheist worldview.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, Gary. Like I said, this is becoming one of the highlights of my week is being a guest on your show. Not becoming is, but also, I just wanted to say just before we get in, actually, my name is, as Gary said, Rob Groon. You can find me at X, Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days at Rob Loves JC. All of my apologetic and debate content is on my Twitter. I just created a recent page on Twitter called Rob Loves Debates. You'll find all my apologetics and debate content, whether like my show, all of the shows with Gary, and my debates with Steve McRae, Jackson Wheat, my conversation with Aaron Ra, and I debated a pro-choice advocate on my own show. My mom is just never mind. I'll look at that later. My mom's calling, but that's it. Sorry. Anyways, so you can find me on my YouTube channel at Robert Groen. Groen is my last name. Before we get, kind of ties into what we're talking about today and what we'll be talking about more so next week. But this is a picture of a hedge. Can you see that clearly?
Kind of.
Okay, so anyways, I took a picture of it because I thought I was just like going for a walk this morning and just kind of praying and talking to the Lord. And like, I just just one of the things I've never understood is how people can look around the world and say, it just happened. Like, it's just so stupid. Because like when I look at a hedge, you can see even like like I said, if you say something like, you see my sweater, you know that a sweater is indicative of a designer because sweaters don't make themselves. Well, how much more dumb would it be to believe that the entire universe had no creator if you wouldn't even believe this sweater, which is infinitely
simple. Yeah, simple. How could something so complex, irreducibly complex, not have so there's never a line of logic there, right? Like if I showed them a car, they would say a car has to have a designer, but why couldn't it have randomly evolved, right?
Yeah,
like
right. I just gotta quickly text my mom.
Why could it not randomly evolve? It certainly could, but they know better, right? But they don't apply that logic to the universe, which is far more complex, to a single human cell, right? The genetic code, which is far more complex, hundreds of times more complex than the car. That just randomly mutated by itself because poof, unspeakable magic, I guess. The atheists really do believe in quite a bit of magic. It really is. Like there was nothing, and then the nothing for no reason exploded, and from that exploded nothing, everything. That's basically it. That's what the atheist religion kind of teaches. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much that's correct. But the other thing is like they'll all say, "Well, we don't believe in everything for nothing." Like, yeah, you do.
You have to.
Yeah, it's the default position. And someone said atheism isn't absurd because it's a default position. I'm like, it's a default position because it is absurd.
It's like it's not the default position. Like they'll say things like that, and then you'll ask them to prove their claim, and then like this is why you can't take them serious. Atheism is the default position. Mm-hmm. No, hang on 1 second. I gotta pause this. I'm gonna pause for 1 second. Yeah, so, yeah, the atheist position is ever changing, and the one thing that if there was a beginning, and every good atheist, Dawkins, right, Hitchens, they all agree that time, space, and matter had a beginning. If time, space, and matter had a beginning, whatever caused it to come into existence had to exist outside of time, space, and matter. You can't cause yourself to exist. You can't be like, can you give birth to your mother? No, your mother had to come before you, right? So your mother had to cause you. So whatever causes time, space, and matter to exist has to exist outside of time, space, and matter. So it's got to be timeless, spaceless, immaterial. It has to have a free will and intelligence to choose to create and then create. So what would you like to call that timeless, spaceless, immaterial, intelligent, free will thing that caused time, space, and matter to come into existence? I'm going to call it God, right? Like, but you know that it exists logically. If you don't, you're defying logic. So, you know what I'm saying? Their position off the bat is illogical because they have to square that circle, which they can't. So their position is already absurd. And then they'll say things like atheism is the default position. No, it's not. Says who? Prove your claim. And they obviously can't because it's one of the dumbest things ever uttered. Right? Most of what an atheist says is just absurd, and it can't ever be proven. Right? Like
this guy, like this fool. Yeah, before we got back into recording, I was saying like this fool on Twitter was telling me like your book, you said a book wrote, not written. See, they can't even speak properly. A book wrote 1,000 years ago. Oh, it's a book written. Actually, it was 2,000 years ago. But the point is,
some of it was 3,000 years ago. But
the logical problem with that is age of a text doesn't have anything to do with the validity of the text.
Yeah, if I write a mathematics book and I put 2 + 2 is 4, and we pull up that book 10,000 years from now, guess what? It's still accurate.
Exactly. So it's like this is a really dumb argument.
It's not even sensible, right? Like, and they don't even believe their own argument, right? And one of the things that if you look at the countries that have done atheism as done by Christians, because God gave us science to kind of understand the world that He created, right? If you're an atheist, you're hostile towards that, which is why atheism and atheists tend to be anti-scientific.
Well, it's kind of I think you were saying last week too that Francis Bacon is the one who actually
scientific method.
Method, yeah, and I think that's cool. Method. Yeah, but it's always strong men with strong moral Christian convictions that come up with like the best ideas. And like I said too, like in stats have shown that anytime that even if the ruler isn't Christian, but they rule by like say biblical principles, the nation always does well.
Yeah.
And again, you look at like you said, like weak men who do or say things that know aren't true. Like look at Nazi Germany, right? Like I don't think that the entire Nazi army woke up one day and said, "Hey, you know what? I think we're going to kill 6 million people." No. It's like a slow time. Like eventually their conscience becomes numb and they start, think, oh, what about my family? And what if I lose my life? And so it's always self-preservation, which is what Darwinism, self-preservation. And the thing is, Hitler was actually a Darwinist. He wasn't a Christian. He was a Darwinist. He actually said, I think we're doing evolution a disservice. And that's why we need to get rid of the Jews. Survival of the fittest, natural selection.
And in
But,
an
if it's,
atheist
but here's the thing: is
worldview,
that
there's
that doesn't
nothing
even
wrong
make
with
sense,
that.
anyways, because it wasn't nature selecting; it was human
You're
selecting. So,
selecting,
like,
yeah.
exactly. So it's stupid.
If an atheist wanted to be intellectually consistent, which obviously they have no interest in that, but if they did, they would look at something like COVID and say that was good. Killed the weak, killed the
Mhm.
elderly to make more
Mhm.
resources
Mhm.
for the fit, right? The fit were
But
fine.
they wouldn't. But they would never say
It
that
killed
because
the weak and the old, got rid of
yeah.
the weak, and had more
So
resources for the fit. They would love
so
something like that.
yeah. So for natural selection purposes, that would actually be
That,
like
that
a
would
good
be a
thing.
home run. That would be a grand slam. They would have to love that,
Yeah.
right? But they don't actually believe in their own religion.
Or pretty
Rob,
much, or pretty much every plague in the human race. Oh, look, polio, great.
most of them would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Polio, E. coli. Oh, yeah, it's all great. It's wiping out, take care of the natural selection.
Rob, I appreciate your time. We're going to wrap up. We'll be back next week to discuss the scientific impossibilities of atheism, and it'll help you understand why atheists are typically very anti-science. But Rob, close us out. Let us know where we can find you and what you're up to.
So again, you can find me at my main Twitter page handle at Rob Loves JC, my debate and apologetic channel, including all of the shows I've done with Gary here at Rob Loves Debates. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Robert Groen, Groen is my last name. You can also find, actually, now kind of think about it, you can find some of my sermons on Tim. If you type Tim Mock Rob Groen, Tim is my Mock is my pastor. His last name is Mauch, and Luke Armstrong, Rob Groen, my buddy Luke. He was also the former associate pastor of my church, and so you can find some of my stuff on their channels as well. And so now that I'm not debating anyone, just getting back into writing, and I'm about 60% or so done my book on my introduction to apologetics, titled "Why Atheism Doesn't Work and Jesus Does: An Introduction to Apologetics," which I hope to be published and on Amazon, Google, and Kindle sometime this spring.
All right, Rob, looking forward to speaking with you again next week. Follow me at Fort Worth Crosstalk. Like and subscribe to the channel. It is February 7th, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.